What's going on, everybody? Riley Welch, owner of 92 Social. This is episode 2 of the podcast. Today, I have a special guest. It's funny, it's the first time speaking to him, Zoom, but I've talked to this guy over, I think, 2 years or something like that. I'm very, very happy because I love this brand, love being Canadian. CDN, how are ya? Checks in the mail. And ladies and gentlemen, Markku, what's going on, buddy?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Right on. So, yeah, like I said in the intro, we haven't really talked face to face.
I know, it's the Instagram's a magical thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Social media is a beautiful thing because it's one of those things I just contacted through your company's Instagram, and I think I saw it through I think Jojo Mason. I think I saw him wearing a hat, and then I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of sick." And then it was like a snowball effect where I kept like, I was researching more and more, and so like, tell us about CDN.
Yeah, it started like I was traveling a lot in the airports and everything, and all I kept seeing was just like absolute trash being sold for, everything was made overseas, and it just said Canada or had a moose and a beaver or all the above, and I just felt there was a gap in what Canadians were, or how Canadian apparel was being represented as Canadians. So that's where CDN started. I'm a pretty minimalistic guy, and there wasn't anything for me that I found readily accessible to have like a favorite black or favorite white T-shirt, or just a pretty simple hoodie that happened to be made in Canada. And that's where the brand started, and it just it's done well. It's been 2 years now. I think we've had apparel for a year as of yesterday, so the apparel's a little bit newer. We started with just our hats, like one of the ones that you're wearing, and that's the only product that we can't find a Canadian manufacturer yet. So we are in chats with one right now. So then we'll be an entirely Canadian made brand, which is something that I'm really excited about. But yeah, it's just giving Canadians opportunity to show, be proud and show, where they're from, as we are, without having to yell at people by what you're wearing, just something nice, simple, and you can wear it every day, right?
Dude, yeah, you said it best, because I almost wear this every day. It's something I'm proud of. Funny, you're out of Kelowna, BC. I live in Toronto. I sort of got, I think it was the other day, I saw some guy wearing, I think it was the Kelowna hat.
Oh, no,
or Vancouver. It was Vancouver hat.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was sick. 2, I'm like, dude, where's your Toronto hat? So maybe the pride got to me. I'm like, yo, where's your, there's some sick hats, but there's one thing that kind of got my mind going. I gotta talk to this guy. I gotta talk to my boy. And so it's spreading rapidly because you said it. It's not corny. It's not like, oh, moose, go Canada. It's legit apparel. It's so cool. It's simple, but it's effective. And that's where we found, with our hockey and baseball and basketball inspired hats, is even a lot of people associate where they're from by their sports teams, and they might not want to wear another Oilers hat or another Maple Leafs hat, but they'll wear it like a TOR hat. Because at least then you're repping your city, and you get the color association, but it's not tied directly to that. So that's kind of a fun little niche market that we found ourselves in. Yeah. So have you found maybe, I think I saw Vancouver Canuck, Jordy Ben? Jordy bought hats for all the guys, so that's definitely been a top seller. They've been wearing them. When we went down and met him after one of the games this year, he's a friend of a friend, so it's like I had never met him. And he ordered all those hats for the guys, and they started wearing them in the locker room. And then there was a couple interviews, and then it got picked up on, I didn't even know what Reddit really was, and it got picked up in a Canucks subreddit. And then I woke up one morning, I had 25 orders for the Vancouver hats, and I'm like, where are these people finding this from? Yeah,
shit like that was just wild to that. I never really knew that people really were like that, like cared that much about, you know, like what X player was wearing or, you know, whatever hat this guy was wearing. But like people were just like super stoked on, you know, something simple is what I learned by reading all these subreddit things that they're like, we can't find anything like this in the Canucks store, like, you know, and all this stuff. Hopefully no one from the team's listening. I don't know how happy they are about having them all in the dressing room. But guys loved them. Like, you know, we got to chat with a few of the other guys, I can't even remember all of them that were wearing them, but they were stoked on it. They just said it was something different, and that's what got them excited to wear it. Yeah.
So is other than the Canucks, was there anybody else that are like, oh my god, how did they find out? Or they're wearing my hat? Oh my god.
I don't think we've had anything like that yet. We know, I know a few guys that work for some of the teams, and obviously being in the Okanagan, pretty big player representation out here in the summertime. So I've got to know a bunch of the guys. So like, we have a lot of guys that get our stuff. I don't know if any of them are that active in wearing it as much as the Vancouver Canucks were this year. But we're going to try and keep that up and keep designing some fun hats and maybe some limited edition stuff for some of the guys.
Hey man, get it the Blue Jays, get it the Leafs.
I know, right?
Yeah, just get.
Good. I mean, we're working on it.
Dude, just give it to Matthews or Marner or Nylander, the fashionistas of the team. You're good to go. It's spread like wildfire.
It would just blow up.
Yeah. So going back on the business, what got you into owning your own business? Because I know a lot of people had a certain moment. Maybe at a part-time job or a full-time job, we're like, you know what, screw this. Why am I putting so much effort into someone else's dream when I could put the same amount of effort into my own? So what was that moment where you're like, time to start my business?
I think I owned a little local company out here before in the Okanagan. It was an apparel company. So I had, before CDN, I had some experience with apparel. But for me, like, I worked at Lululemon for 5 years and obviously learned a lot about branding and this was when I was finishing my graphic design school. So I came right out of school and worked for myself, like design wise, and, you know, had a couple dozen clients and was just like, thought it was really cool to see my stuff, like a poster I did at the local coffee shop or somebody's business cards that I did. I thought that feeling was really cool. And I was like, man, I think it'd be really wild to see it on like a t-shirt or like a sweater. Like, can you imagine like somebody wear it, like buying something that you designed? I'm like, that'd be so cool. And then that's when my first company started, when I started Okanagan Lifestyle. And then that just took off. Like, that just, like, before we even had an online store, we were at Shea Weber and Cody Franzen's golf tournament, and like 40 NHL guys were wearing our stuff. And then it just snowballed from there. I left that back in 2018, and that's when CDN started. I think I don't know if it was like a specific moment, but I think it would be tracked back to just like, honestly, just thought it would be cool if I could design something that people would wear, right? I didn't know anything about building an apparel brand or building a brand, really. I just honestly could track back a lot to like from the Lululemon mentality and you know, how they went about building their brand, you know, because I was there, not in the early days, but like, you know, 2009 to 2014 kind of thing. So still pretty early. They were only 10 years old. So they're still doing a lot of like real, like weird market. Like they were so far ahead of everybody. And you know, obviously now they're like a $3 or $4 billion a year company. Right. So I can't get enough of them. I think I think that's where I would track back a lot of inspiration for the apparel side of things. Yeah. So on the apparel side, why apparel? Was it just you just kind of happened to be in that situation? Yeah, I think so. I think I would say I fell into it a little bit, just working at the retail store, and you know, growing up with a few of my buddies back in Edmonton, you know, owning a promo company, and just like knowing the ins and outs of by ordering blanks and t-shirts and sweaters, and you know what, and then learning the materials from Lulu combined with what I had done on the promo side of it. It's like I knew like what would make a good product, and I knew where to get it. So I think that just a weird mismatch of like 4 or 5 different, separate like circles and like parts of my life brought into, fused into this one. And like now people in Kelowna are just like, hey, I need hats. And like, I'm not even like I'm just like I'm like the fucking hat guy or like the t-shirt guy. People are like, hey, we need you to design us something cool for our company. We want something cool. I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm like, do you know how much time went into this? But like, yeah, I can totally do something cool for you. No problem.
Yeah. So kind of going on that note as well, starting with the hats, and now you're transitioning into apparel. Now, one of my favorite pieces is the thrift shirts. I noticed you had the hip, which is killer. I love the hip. Yeah, so how did that kind of come together? Was it just, we were saying, guys on the stream like, hey man, I need a t-shirt, or I need some...
It was that one. That's a pretty new venture for us, but we like our core, like as a CDN's core value. So like we've been putting out quite a bit of stuff to get our core collect. Like we live in the white, gray, black. We have like a retro red and oatmeal. And so we live in a lot of these core colors that we're going to keep around with our core designs, like CDN Stitch Center, Patch Left Chest. We have a couple of new designs we're going to add to the core collection. And then each season we want to release 1 to 2 like colored pieces. So this spring was gold. We had a gold t-shirt and a gold hoodie. Fall will be last fall was forest green. This fall is maroon. In winter, we're working on some real top secret stuff, so I can't share that yet. But so it's like we're as a company, fundamentally, not only are we about like by ordering a t-shirt that's made in Canada, you're cutting down so much on the environment, because you're not shipping it overseas. You're not doing this. Like a lot of it's all made in Canada. Yeah. So we're going against that. 20 to 30 new pieces per year. Whatever low cost t-shirt brand, like I don't want to name names here, but like, the big department store stuff that, will launch 80 new designs and then discount it 80% at the end of it to make room for the next collection. So like that's fast fashion, and we aren't that. This isn't a discount brand. We rarely ever have sales. Our stuff isn't designed in these bright, like graphic t-shirt things that are all of a sudden, come 2021, it's out of style. It's still in style, and we're working towards, the slow fashion. Slow Canadian fashion is my one thing that I'm really trying to push as a company, and as myself. Like I'm wearing a thrifted like Nike t-shirt from Value Village, but the thrifted stuff came from, not everybody wants a minimal design like our brand is, right? Like right now, not everybody wants that. Some people want a little bit louder stuff. And then we were just, we like Chloe and I, my girlfriend, we love thrifting, and it's just like, well, we're there, and we thought it would be a real cool add-on to the brand, and like the Christ. So then we found these really weird Canadian T-shirts, and I'm like, well, fuck, like there's a lot of thrift stores and thrifted fashion is in. So it's like, well, I had to have a criteria. It's like it has to be made in Canada, has to feature like a Canadian athlete or artist or singer, or it has to be just like a wildly Canadian design. And that's where the thrifted collection came from. So now we launch in collections of 12 pieces, and they're all themed like places or sports or music and whatever else. So,
dude, yeah, wow, yeah, that's a great answer. Whew.
Yeah, and the hip one, that one was like one of the best ones I ever found, and it found a new home, I think, in somewhere in northern Ontario. I can't remember where, but somebody just bought that a few weeks ago. Yeah,
no, because I was scrolling, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah,
no, because that's one of my biggest regrets, is not getting a hip shirt or going to see the hip. And when I saw that, I'm like, kind of, ooh.
Yeah, right. It was good. Like we found such good stuff. I mean, we have some really fun stuff coming out in the next couple weeks too. So
stay tuned. Yeah.
Yes, stay tuned.
How are you? Okay. So, as a company, how did you transition, or how did you manage the COVID? Because a lot of businesses have been affected, but others haven't. Others are thriving off of this.
Yeah, for us it was pretty much. I mean, we're an online business, so for us it was pretty much business as usual. We offered a discount for about a month because it felt weird. Like, you know, everyone's getting laid off work, and, you know, but at the same time they were wanting to support local. So we did a discount for a bit, which is rare for us. We don't do that very often. The biggest challenge that we had is that it was right around all of our spring deliveries, and we onboarded 5 new retail partners. So, luckily none of them dropped our order. Everybody stuck with it, and they all transitioned to online. But that was the only challenge, was just working with them on, you know, extending payment period and helping them get online, and if they needed any of our photos, and just trying to get stuff to them, get any sort of asset that can help them sell, you know, the CDN product to their customer. And, you know, like we were chatting at the start, it's a lot of companies, you know, when they're an online store, they want to dominate their online presence. And every retailer asked us, they reached out and they're like, hey, is it okay if we put your stuff on our site? Like, we're just trying everything. And it's like, this is like a global pandemic time. And it was just so encouraging to hear that from your retail partners, because like, we are in this together, and I need them to be just as successful as they need me to be successful to draw it in. And it was a real, you know, humbling ask from them. And it made me so sure in the decision to know that, like, we're a team, and I've picked some really great local partners to work with.
Yeah, no, again, it's all about building the community. A lot of people
100%.
In Toronto, when I partnered with a co-working space, like I mentioned before, and their agency, and people ask me, who's your competition? Who you going up against? But for me, I see it as a community. The gentleman that I had on the first episode is he does advertising, and I do offer advertising, but I know that's not my strong suit. So I know that maybe in a time like this, if I have an opportunity, I can share that with him. So for me, knowing that there's no bad karma, and
totally
helping everyone out. But yeah, times like these, it's kind of hard to keep motivated, or even just a regular day. So how do you keep motivated on the days that you're just like having a case of the Mondays?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. I think like the biggest thing is just missing, like I mentioned, like I work from home regardless. So I think I'm just missing the routine of, you know, getting to be able to go to the gym, and, you know, really thrifting, and, like, you know, just like sifting through all those old t-shirts and sweaters. Like, you get ideas, you get ideas for colors, you get ideas for designs, and it's like, I'm just missing that. I mean, I'm going to be honest, it's hard to say. I'm not, like, as of right now, I'm not very motivated at all. Like, it's even living by the lake, we've had like just a bunch of gray weather, some rain and wind and shit. It's just been like, I mean, honestly, I can find every reason to not work out at home, and I can find no reasons to start drinking at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, it's so hard, man.
Side note, when is the right time?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I'm so confused.
I don't know if there is a right time anymore, but it's a challenge, and I mean, I can imagine everybody's going through the same thing, and some days are better than others. I know I have like one project going on right now, and I had a deadline. It's like that was pretty much it. So it's like I had to get it done, and just up early, lots of coffee, and but it's tough. I mean, I can imagine being out in Toronto would be a little bit more difficult than for me in Kelowna. But yeah, I would imagine everyone's struggling with it different.
Yeah, it's case in point. I have to talk to a few people that are losing clients, and they don't know what to do. And for me, to be productive, to keep motivating, I have to be busy. I have to have a lot of things going, so I get things rolling. It works for me. And it's on one note, it's frustrating, but the other note, you have to think it. I'm telling people this: change your mindset into now is a perfect time to brainstorm or re-strategize your brand, or even start a new company. Side note, I might do that soon. I don't know. Just saying, that's under the table. But yeah, so it's hard to find motivation. Like we mentioned before, first week or so, I didn't know what to do. I was so lost. I didn't know, like, how can I pitch clients? How can I do this, do that? But it's all about perspective. It's all about having time to reflect, but also be, okay, I'm done. What's the next step?
Yeah,
so
and I think that, like for me, I think last week was just was a down week, and And just like you know, being a creative, like if I'm not in the right headspace, like I mean, there's literally nothing going on up there. I can't design a logo for somebody if I'm just, you know, like sitting and it's gray and pouring rain and I just can't find the time, or I'm staring at the computer too long. It's like, fuck, like I can't figure that out. So I think for me, last week was definitely a tough one. But this week it's on to the next. It's just start prepping for fall, start prepping for Canada Day, start prepping for winter. Like I want to be on it, and I want to have all my products and samples done up properly so I can order them and I can offer a really great experience to my retail partners and, you know, the people that want to buy and support Canadian, that when this is over and it can be in person, like I'm going to be ready for it. To as much as I can be, as opposed to, you know, playing catch up, because, you know, I again, like for me, I'd worked really hard to get to spring and onboarded 4 or 5 new retail partners. And I'm like, I'm doing it right this year. I'm going to be on time. I'm going to be early. And then, I mean, literally like after the first 2 deliveries, it was like shut down. And I'm like, God damn.
Buddy. Yeah, it's hard because you mentioned it. Everyone that I talked to, I'm sure you did too, is there was like that they're so close of hitting their stride, and it's hard, and you kind of get sideswiped. But it's, again, after you're reflecting, gotta start that engine back up again and try to get that creativity flowing. Yeah. And again, you said it, the creative field. If you have nothing going, you got nothing going.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? It's like it's not there. And I mean, also it's a global pandemic, so it's like you don't have to force yourself to be the most productive. Like, you know, this is something that, I mean, I would imagine is a once in a lifetime thing for us. God, I hope so. And it's like you can't put the type of pressure on yourself to be, you know, pick up new hobbies or start this or do that. It's like, you know, you're allowed to have bad days or a bad week. And it's like, you know, just don't let it be 2 bad weeks, you know, and then, cause then it can get into, you know, something a little bit more serious. Right. So, it's just trying to, you know, one thing at a time, right? As just cliche as that is.
It is. So, how do you get the creativity flowing? Maybe take aside this global pandemic, normal day. What do? What's your first thing you do?
Gym, for sure.
Yeah.
That would be if I'm struggling, that would be the first thing I'd go to. We go to a gym in Kelowna, Rec Fitness, and it's just like, I mean, we live like 15 minutes out of town, so for us, it's a 15-minute drive down like beside the lake, get to go to an hour workout class, just get killed, and come back, and it's like you can go in and having the worst day, and you come out and you're just like, you know, you're fired up. And if not for that, you know, anything else, like it really shakes it out, like shakes every cobweb out of your brain, for me anyway. Other than that, in the summertime, down by the beach, lake, go jump in, you know, anything like that, just to lay out on the beach or in the sun or something, and not be on a computer is always a big one.
Oh, for sure, because everyone will know now that, because they're all on laptops, they're all talking like what we're doing right now, and you find yourself at the end of the week more drained than you were when you go to the office, because going to the office, you're waking up, driving, you're talking to people, but now you're waking up and you're at your office.
I know, so, right here, right away.
Yeah, so that can kill the creativity just like that. So, like you mentioned, you worked at Lululemon, you have other companies, now CDN. So throughout those years, is there a few key learning moments that you been a part of?
God, so many. So, I mean, yeah, it was like a lot of things I learned about, like printing, like with apparel specifically, like printing, you know, lead times, just like, and you no matter how prepared you try and be, like there's always something like a wrench gets thrown in. But I think just a lot of little things for me, just learning, you know, how and where is going to be a successful way to market a product, what makes a good piece of apparel, and who you market it to, I think is very important. I mean, I don't know how how many of them I could go to. I've had so many bad, like so many just shit the bed moments too. So it's like, I don't even know. It would be a whole other episode just to talk about that.
Part 2.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So it's, you take those learning experiences and then you run into people that are just starting their business, that are just starting their journey. And so when they ask you any advice, what would you say? Oh my God, just be
embrace failure like a lot, because it's never going to go the way you think. And I think that would be like one, and then like a 1A would be like what you specifically might like or want might not be what your target demo wants. So learn your consumer, know your audience, and market to that versus what you personally, maybe not believe, but like for me, it would be my personal style. I set that aside and make products that I believe are what Canadians and expat Canadians too that are in the States or in UK or wherever, what will fit their wardrobe and how it can accent really well.
Yeah, it's that's a great advice, is knowing your audience, and that kind of goes through multiple industries.
Big time.
Just knowing the person, knowing the audience that you're targeting to, and sometimes you know that better than others. And personally, for my business, I thought, one thing, this is it, they're gonna love it, and then you do it, and like, nope, they hated it.
Yeah, and it's like, and the best way to learn obviously is trial and error. And it's just don't get stuck on, like, I always try and not be stuck on one certain idea or one certain look, because for at the end of the day, I'm like, it's not for me, like I'm doing this for other people, and I have to make sure that I'm in touch with that or in tune with that, because if not, then I'm going to end up having a shitload of this stuff because I wouldn't have sold it, right? So that's not the goal. The goal is to market to be an active part of the Canadian fashion market, and to do a good job doing it, right?
Yeah. So what has been your proudest moment as an owner?
Oh God, I mean, it's always like, it's hard to like pick one. Like for me, like I have like the outward facing proudest moment would be anytime you see somebody really not like fame, but somebody really cool wearing your stuff. Like the Vancouver Canucks stuff was really cool. We just launched a collaboration with Jillian Harris. So like that, we did an exclusive product for her Jilly Box subscription box. So, seeing stuff like that, that was months of work, and it's like that, like stuff like that's really cool. Yeah. But at the same token, as a brand, I think that's a really cool thing, as an owner, but also as a brand, as its own entity. When I sign on a retail partner that is, finds out about what CDN is, and they want it in their store, and they're just as proud to tell your story as you are, I think that's a pretty cool moment. So I think, that's kind of like my two-prong answer. I think like when somebody buys into your brand and carries it in their store, I think that's like one of the coolest feelings ever.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, it seems pretty cool of having that idea that was in your head, then that motion of that time and effort that you put into it, and then it pays off by other people loving it, by other people wearing your ideas, which is so cool. And it's one of those things where you can say it to somebody a million times, but once you see it, once you experience it, it's you can't explain. You can't explain that experience.
It's a pretty surreal feeling for sure, and it hasn't gotten old. I had Okanagan Lifestyle. Like I started that in 2013, and there was like 5 years of that, and this is going on what it would be 7 years of being in the apparel, and it's like the feeling is still wild when people tag us in pictures. I'm like, you have to like actively choose to wear that stuff out, and then actively post about it because you're proud to post about it, right? So it's like, that shit's cool to me, and like the minute it becomes not cool is probably the minute that I'll be looking to exit the apparel industry and start something new, I guess.
So this podcast, it's all about supporting the local businesses, local entrepreneurs trying to find their way through this crazy time that we're in, that we haven't really experienced before. And while on the podcast, I want to give another shout out to people that are fighting the good fight, like first responders, or even the restaurants, the bakeries, the small mom and pop shops. So do you have any places that you kind of go regularly and then they're kind of turned into takeouts, or they're just shut down?
I mean, for us, most in Kelowna, almost everybody is shut down. A lot of people have been able to do takeout, but like some of my favorite places, like, I have like a few different levels of people that I'm huge fans of personally.
Yeah.
One of the coolest places to get a burger in Kelowna is Central Burger. Or Kitchen and Bar, Central Kitchen and Bar. I don't believe they aren't doing any takeout at all, but they have gift cards, so that's always a great option. One of our favorite places to go grab a beer is BNA downtown, BNA Brewing, and they have a bowling alley there. So we did a fall bowling league last year, so we're missing hanging out there for sure.
Yeah.
And then just wanted to give a shout out to all my CDN retail partners. They transitioned to online sales real quick. There's 10 of them, so I'll send you the link so you guys can check them all out. But yeah, just big props to them. I even had a brand new store that was supposed to open April something, and she couldn't even open her store, but she launched online and in Kamloops, and it's just been wild. People are loving it. So kind of a weird opening story for her, but that'll be really cool. And then the team that shoots our website photos now, One Peak Creative, they've been doing this fun thing on their Instagram. You could check it out. They started last week, called Adsolation. So each day they pick a brand or pick a story and do they have one day to cut it, and they do these funny ads for these brands just at random. So I'll send all those accounts over for you to post, but they've done an awesome job, and they're great to work with. So I'm huge fans of theirs. So I think I could literally go on forever, but you can also check out our CDN Instagram grid. We post like every third picture is a local business. So from all around Canada. So go check out, just some of those cool places we posted. And that's like one of our goals as a brand, is to always just be actively supporting people. It's hard when it's all Canada, but I'm trying to find some of the coolest places around.
Yeah, man, it's all about supporting the community, growing that community, and being Canadian. That's
man,
dude. Yeah, this is where we kind of connected. Just the pride of being Canadian, the pride of that's 92 Socials. Meat and potatoes is all about growing the Canadian businesses, because at the end of the day, we've got to look out for ourselves. And I want to say thank you very much, Markku, for coming on the podcast. It's been a pleasure, dude. It's a great talk. Not maybe, part 2 will probably come out in the near future.
Anytime, man, anytime.
Yeah. Perfect, man. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Cheers.
Well, I want to say thank you to Mark for coming on the podcast, second podcast of the series, and he had really good info for an entrepreneur or someone that's trying to get into the apparel industry in Canada. Fantastic interview. Go check him out down below. Website and every restaurant that he suggested will be down below. Remember, support local businesses in Canada. 92 Socials Instagram. And all the website and email will be down below as well. Hey, if you know someone who's a small business owner or an entrepreneur that want to be on the podcast, come on, baby. My information will be down below. Have a great day.